everyone, it's Rebecca with Holly Rustic, and I'm here to do the watermelon door hanger painting tutorial. Mine's a lot smaller than yours, so yours is going to take a little longer, but I just like to use these for the examples and so you don't have to watch the video for a couple hours. Before you start watching this, go ahead and take your gray and do a base coat on your whole watermelon, because we're going to be using pinks and reds. The gray base helps even out the red color, so that it does better than white. So you're going to go ahead and cover your whole thing with gray, let it dry completely, and then we will start on the watermelon. So you should have red in your kit. I have a couple dark pinks that are almost empty. I want to use them and get them out of my way. So I'm going to use this one, which is honeysuckle pink. And I'll probably mix it with the rest of this cranberry here. Well, there's a little more than I thought in that one. You're also going to need black for the seeds, which I already have poured, a little bit of white, and 2 greens. So the greens are that you got in your kit, they should be pretty contrasting. So I'm going to use light green. These are probably not the same colors you have. I just grab what I see. See. Well, that one's clogged up. I'll probably have enough. Okay, so what we're going to do first, after we get it gray, is do this white strip here in the middle. So you have lines on your door hanger, and we're going to paint this section right here white. And I'm doing that first because then I don't have to worry too much about these edges, because we're going to go back over the edges with the dark colors, and I don't like tedious work like staying in the lines. So I'm going to probably use an angled brush. You can use a flat brush if you want, that's about that size. And just dip in your white and just start painting within those lines. And it may end up taking 2 coats. See what I'm doing here. Again, I'm not going to worry about staying in the lines for this part, because we're going to be covering that with other colors. I mean, I don't want to brush over the whole, I don't want to go crazy, but I'm not going to be super particular about it either. Alright, luckily it dries pretty fast. I'm just going to go back over with another coat, starting back over here. Okay, so we want that to dry pretty good before we start doing our other colors. So while that's drying, this is a good time to paint your Sweet Summertime letters. I already had one done, even though I've lost my sweet. Here's my summertime. And these are laser cut letters, so the edges are already dark. If you paint black, you don't even have to worry about the edges, which is really nice, especially when you're dealing with this many twists and turns in the letters. I broke that too. Oops. Oh well. So you can obviously paint them whatever color you want. Some of the brighter colors might stand out more, but just remember you're going to be putting it on top of the red watermelon with the black seeds, so make sure it's a color you're going to be able to see on there. Alright, what I'm going to do now is cover the outside rind here with my my light green. So I'm going to go over the whole thing with my light green. And here you want to be a little more particular with the lines. You still don't have to be perfect. If you're going to do the little round circles that I have on the edges of the rind that's in the example, that's going to cover any flaws that you might have there. So definitely not perfect on the lines, but that's okay because I'm going to cover them up, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to use the same brush and I'm going to do the edges of my watermelon now. Again, not too worried about the lines. Just get as close as you can. I'm going to get a bigger brush to fill in the middle part. And you're just going to cover up the seeds because you'll still be able to see those lines. That'll help you with the black part. Liking this color. let that dry. I'm gonna touch up some of my green while the red's drying, and maybe the white too. Got a little messy there. Let's see. Anytime you're waiting for anything to dry, just make sure you go ahead and get those letters painted. And then I'll show you how to do the bow here in a minute while this is drying. Doing some touch up. Alright, I'm going to let that dry and show you how to do this bow. So you should either have a short piece of twine and a long piece. One's for your ribbon and one is for the back of your door hanger if you want to use it to hang. Some people have their own hanging kits, and that's completely fine. I'm going to take a smaller piece. If you just have one piece, then cut off maybe 6 inches of it and lay it flat. So you're going to lay it up and down in front of you. And then you're going to take your ribbon. Now if you want to fancy your ribbon up a little bit, I'll show you on the green one. If you want these edges like this, just makes it look a little fancier. Take the side that you're going to be able to see, face it towards you. So my polka dots are facing me. I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to take my scissors. The point of my scissors is going to be facing to my right, and I'm just going to angle it like that and cut, so that when you open it back up you have this V shape here. And you'll do that on both sides of all the ribbons. Just make sure the side you want to see on your bow is facing you, fold it in half, and then cut at an angle on each side inward, and you'll get those pieces. These are already done. But how we're going to layer this on our twine is we're going to take the outermost ribbon first. So this will be the outside of our bow. I'm going to use the black, and I'm going to take it and face it down onto that twine, and I'm going to do an X shape like this. Then I'm going to take my middle layer, which is going to be my green, and I'm also going to do an X, but I'm going to kind of put them between the black, so I'm not going to completely cover the black. But just kind of offset it a little bit. And then my burlap's going to be my last layer, and I'm just going to do the same thing, just kind of offset it and do an X. Alright, I'm going to hold that down and tie it. And then when you flip it over, you should be able to see all of your ribbon. So one thing you can do now that it's flipped over is kind of arrange your pieces the way you want them to look. You can slide them around or spread them out. Once you get it the way you want it, then you'll do a double knot. So you'll go ahead and tie a double knot on the back. And then you can cut this extra piece off, and you'll be able to glue that bow onto your door hanger later. Okay, what I'm gonna need for the other part of the rind is a flat brush. So let's see, use a flat brush however big you're gonna want your dark green pieces to be. And if you're worried about spacing, I always eyeball it, but if you're worried about spacing, you could always take a second brush and kind of lay it between, because what we're gonna be doing is dipping in our dark green and brushing outward from the white. So if you wanna use a brush to help space them evenly, you can. Again, I'm just gonna eyeball it, so I'm not gonna use that second brush. I'm just gonna dip into my dark green, and I'm gonna start at one end. I'm gonna touch it right here on that white part, and I'm gonna brush out, just like that. And then I'm gonna skip a space, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. So you want your brush to be pretty heavy loaded with paint. You're just gonna go around the whole rind like that. Now, on your door hanger, you can paint the edges if you want to. You can leave them dark or you can paint them. I usually paint them. I didn't today, but I don't worry about it too much on the letters, but I usually do on the door hanger. Alright, so now I have the rind done. Go back over this one. There's a kind of a light spot there. I guess it was still wet. I have to let it dry and then do it. Let's see. Ah, that's good. Okay, so the rind's done. Now we just got the seeds left. Let me find what brush I want to use for that. I'll probably use 2 brushes for the seeds. I didn't even open this brush yet. Use a tiny brush to be able to get in the corners of the seeds with the black. It's still really wet, so I don't want to paint it yet. If you have a hairdryer or something, you can speed it up with that. Basically, it just needs to dry for a minute. I know y'all want to listen to me run a hairdryer. Let's see how we do here. So I'm just going to start in the corner with this little brush and follow those seed lines. Still wetter than it should be, but seeds take a little bit more focus. 2 more. Just going through and touching up some. Okay, so now we can work on the dots. There's a couple different ways you can do this. Once these edges here dry, I want to go through and kind of cover up those lines. So you can use like a small pointed or rounded brush, or you can use a paint pen, which is my favorite way to do it because it's faster. Let's see. If you use a brush, just use, this one's not very good. All my other ones are wet, but if you find one that's rounded on the edge, and then you can kind of practice on a paper plate or a piece of paper, just take it and kind of dot it. You're not going to want to do really small circles all the way around, because then you are going to be doing it all day, especially with your big watermelon. So there's a couple of different paint pens you can use. I like the Sharpie ones, which I think they sell at like Home Depot. But the paint does need to be dry in order for that to work. I'm going to start with my brush here. So you're just going to take it and do circles on each edge here. And they don't have to be perfect, but you do want them to be about the same size. Now my door hanger is smaller, so my circles are going to be smaller, but with your big door hanger, I would not do small circles. You're going to get tired of it pretty quick. And this is not the brush for me to use here. I don't like that one. See if I can find my other round one. This one. Probably about time for me to get another one of these. It's not working because the paint's not dry. Okay, well that's out for now. You could also do, you could also take your white and do like big circles. Let me show you. So instead of doing the little black circles, you could do big circles all the way around. So instead of having this painted line, you would have circles going all the way. And you could draw them out first. It's still wet, so I'm picking up a little green here. But you could do it either way you wanted. You could do big one big row of white circles, or you could do the little black circles. Anyways, that's still drying, so I'm going to leave it alone for now. The other thing I'm going to do is inside the seeds. Now you do have a line that you can fill in, but I like it better with just the curved mark. So I just take my white and I'm just going to do a quick curve like that in each seed. You can fill in that little space that's etched on there if you want. I like this better. I've tried it both ways. So that's completely up to you. Okay. Now with your letters, like I said, I lost sweet and broke summertime. You're gonna take your craft glue, which is E6000 like this. And a little of this goes a long way. So if you have a butter knife, or I like to use these palette painting knives to spread it on there. So basically what I'm going to do is get a little bit of the glue onto the end of my palette knife. Like I said, you can use a butter knife if you want. And you want to just take it and spread it like peanut butter over the biggest parts of your letters. You don't want any big globs of this, because once you push it down, it will ooze out and ruin your door hanger. So I just spread it like peanut butter. But I would suggest before you glue it down to lay all the pieces where you want them to be, so that you have a general idea of where it's going to go before you glue it down. So you'll lay your pieces out. Where you put your bow is going to have a big influence on that. So if I put it in the middle, I'm gonna have to move my letters down a lot further. Okay, so be mindful of the placement. Spread your glue on the back, and then when you go to lay it down, you want to get it pretty much where it's going to be, because you don't want to slide that glue around, because it will spread on your door hanger and you will not be able to get it off. So you just spread that out like peanut butter on your mat, and then lay your pieces where you want them. You can slide them a little bit, but not a lot. After you get them on there, they're going to need to sit for a couple hours before you hold your door hanger completely upright. Otherwise, all your letters and everything will come sliding down. So for your bow, you can use the E6000 if you want to glue the back and then set something heavy on it until that glue sets. Or you can use hot glue. You can use some kind of hanging kit on the back, or you can take your twine and glue that on. I usually, if I'm going to use that, I usually do a mixture of hot glue and of the E6000. Hot glue will work, but if it's out in the heat, eventually it is not going to hold anymore. So since this is drying, all you have left to do is your dots and glue your letters on. I'm going to go ahead and end this tutorial. I really appreciate y'all buying our kits and painting with us, and make sure to join our Facebook group, ask if you have any questions. Otherwise, y'all have a great day. Thanks.